Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Jesse Bose from the 19th hole, and I'm here to do my rookie guide for the upcoming Vintage Open tournament. This is a tournament that takes place on the Vineyard Acres course. This is a 9-hole course that has been, kind of revamped for this tournament, and there are some changes to some of the holes, and some of the holes are kind of the same, just kind of with a different type of background on them. So what we're going to do in this guide is we're going to talk about each holes one at a time. And I'm going to talk about the clubs to use, the ball to use, or ball choices to use, elevation changes that you need to keep in mind when you're making adjustments for your wind, and I'll also talk about some of the different routes that I would suggest that you consider playing during this tournament. Now, also another thing to think about is that we don't know the wind directions yet for the tournament, so all I can really do is speculate. And give you, ideas and information as to different ways to play each hole. And then sometimes, that information can change as far as, you might want to play a hole a specific way once we do learn what kind of a wind we have for the tournament. So that's all stuff we'll learn on Monday. I will be doing a rookie playthrough where I play the actual 9 holes of the tournament. And it's kind of a condensed version because I only show you myself taking my shots, so you can really see and get a lot of good information real quickly without having to watch a full round. And that will be completely full commentary during that video as well. So without any further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. We will start on hole number 1, and hole number 1 is a par 4. And this is a par 4 that I think is very important. I think this is a hole that we need to make sure that we get the eagle on. And I would suggest do that by either playing your extra mile. You can go with an extra mile, and I would play it one of 2 ways. You're either going to play it a conservative way, in which you're going to bounce it in this area of the fairway, and your objective is to bounce over this rough, and you'll land it somewhere about right there, and then you'll roll it up the fairway to this zone right here. And the way that you're going to play that shot is with full topspin and full right spin, and you really want to have a ball that has a little bit extra spin on it. So a katana ball would definitely be a good option for that shot if you want to play it that way. And also, you do want to make sure that you play the shot a little bit farther to the left on that fairway, because the fairway does slope a little bit from left to right. So you definitely don't want to find yourself rolling off into the rough over here, or even this bunker. You definitely would not want to do that. It would really hinder your chances of getting the eagle. So from that resting area on that drive, you're probably looking at, I would guess, a short iron shot to the hole. Most likely either a thorn or a hornet, depending on which one you bring. And I would actually play that shot off the front edge of the green, or or just off the green, off the fairway. In the middle area of this green towards the cup, there is kind of some bumpy areas on the green, so that would not provide you with a very consistent landing zone. I guess consistent would be a good word to use, but yeah, it would not be a very consistent landing zone. You would not get the same bounce twice. So if you want to try to go at this shot a little bit more aggressively, and the payoff is pretty good, because the payoff is going to put you up pretty close to the hole, most likely in distance for a wedge shot. Now, the way that you would want to play that is definitely want to go with your extra mile. You want to go with your driver that has a good amount of distance to it. And you may want to think about going with a power 3 ball, like a Titan or something. And what you're going to be doing is, from the tee shot, you're actually going to be skipping over all of this rough here and landing your shot right in here. And the way that you can do that is with the power 3 ball. Do keep in mind this is downhill. So you are going to be playing a 20% adjustment for the elevation on this tee shot. So do keep that in mind as well. But anyways, for this shot over the rough with your extra mile and power 3 ball, you will be playing a full top spin and full right spin. I say full top spin If you're playing with really good clubs in the rookie, then you may want to back off on your topspin. But like 4 to 5 bars of topspin would be good for this shot. And you want your ball to hit. It's going to bounce right about here and hopefully roll up towards either onto the green or just off the edge of the green. Now, as far as the curl goes for that shot, the curl really depends on the type of wind that we have. If you have kind of a straight tailwind, you might only want to use about a half a ball of curl, or if you have a wind that's facing from left to right, you don't want to use as much curl. But if you have a wind that's pointing from right to left, then you are going to be wanting to use a little bit more curl. So, right to left wind, you may want to look at about a full ball of curl, or however much curl that your driver has. If you have like an extra mile 5, then yeah, you don't have as much curl. So you definitely just want to use the maximum amount of curl that you have on your driver. Now you will see some people trying to do this a power curl shot, with a quarterback or maybe even a rock. And the way that they would do that is their shot would come out here, and then it would come back in. It would hit somewhere in here, and then it would bounce up in the similar path of our little bit more aggressive line, and you're most likely going to get your shot somewhere in this zone right here. So you still be pretty close up there, probably in wedge distance to the hole, and that is definitely a shot that is possible. And to play that shot, you would play, you would make your adjustment for the wind, and then you would make your adjustment for your power curl, depending on what club you use. And to find out the values for those adjustments, you would go to golfclashnotebook.io and look at the top. There is like a power curl section, and then there is an actual chart that gives you a breakdown of all of the different drivers and their levels and how much ring adjustment is associated with each one of those drivers. So that would be where you would look for that. The second shot for this hole, let me just write this down here. The second shot, you're going to play a minus 10%. Okay? So if you are taking your shot from down here, a little bit farther down the hill, you're going to want to play a minus 10%. Now, if you're playing your shot from up closer around the green, I would not even bother with the minus 10%. But if you do play the more conservative line on your drive and you find yourself a little bit lower, and when you go to take your shot, you do notice that it's quite uphill, then I would definitely go ahead and add that minus 10% or subtract that minus 10% from your wind. So keep that in mind when you are setting up that second shot. Are you close to the green or are you farther away from the green? I think the best way to probably do that would be if you're in short iron, you're probably far enough away to assess that minus 10% to your wind. But if you're in wedge range, I would just probably play that straight up at 0% adjustment for your elevation. All right, so next up we have hole number 2, and this is a par 3. So we got a par 3 pretty quickly off the bat here. This is a very simple par 3 for the rookie. We're going to play a plus 10% for elevation change. We're going to play with the backbone here. And what you want to do is you want to land your backbone somewhere right here in this zone right here. And you want your second bounce to be right there off the top of that ridge. And there's kind of like a small area where you have the green, the fringe, and the fairway all meeting together in a little bit of a hill. You want your shot to hop off the top of that hill and towards the hole. And that's the best way to play this shot. I like going with the backbone for this shot, and I would definitely recommend going with either a Marlin ball if you really want to go cheap, or you can go with a Navigator ball. I really like the Navigator ball for this shot, and I like to take the red ring on my target and put it right up there along the edge of the rough line. That's kind of the best way, in my opinion, to consistently make the same type of shot on this hole. And then from there, you can kind of make, small adjustments as to how, if you barely miss to the left or barely miss to the right. It's just a good setup point. to be able to set up in the same spot each time, and then be able to make adjustments as you see fit for that shot. The best way to play this shot is without 2 bars of backspin, and I don't play any kind of left or right spin on this shot. I just go with 2 backspin. I aim that red ring right there along the edge of the rough line, and then I try to aim that second bounce off the top of that fringe hill. So that's how I like to play this hole, and hopefully y'all can get the ace on it. I got the ace on it the other night in the friendly stream. That was pretty cool. All right, so our next hole here is hole number 3. And hole number 3 is a par 5. We are going to play a plus 10% off the tee box for this shot. And I would definitely go with, in the rookie, probably go with your extra mile. And either go with a Katana or a Titan ball. Those are the 2 balls that I would recommend. The best way to play this hole in the rookie is just to really play a straight shot. You know, there's really no reason, in my opinion, to get fancy on this hole in the rookie. Just play a straight shot with full topspin, full right spin. You bounce it right over the water, you land it there, and then you can take your shot up into this zone right here with that topspin and right spin. You know, curl-wise, you know, if you have a left to right wind, you're really not going to need to use a lot of curl, especially if that's a tailwind. If you have a right to left tailwind, or maybe it's more of a side wind from right to left, then you may want to use a little bit more right curl to kind of counteract that that wind. But other than that, in the rookie, it's a pretty straightforward shot, and you have a pretty large landing zone area right here to make a mistake on. You know, so it's a pretty easy shot to make. If you do want to get fancy and you want to go with a power curl shot or something like that, you know, you could try for that right here. I would aim for this zone right here, and I like the quarterback for this shot. I would go with a lot of top spin and a little bit of right spin as well, and then you will make your adjustment for your power curl shot, however many rings the chart says from golfclashnotebook.io. So you will have to look up your what level quarterback you have and how many rings are associated with it. It's usually somewhere between like 20 and 23 rings. So you would make that adjustment for your wind, and then you would add on that extra amount of rings for your club, and then you do full power curl and full power hook slice, whichever one it is. So that's how you play that shot. So for your second shot in the rookie, in my opinion, in the rookie, there's only really one way to play this shot, and it's going with the rough bump. Higher levels, you can go with a lot of backspin and try to spin it back to the hole that way off the back of the green. But I don't feel in rookie you have any clubs that really have the amount of backspin that you need to make that shot. So in my opinion, the best way to go at this hole for the Albatross is with the rough bump. And you do that with about 2 bars of topspin. And I would definitely recommend you have the backbone, and if you have a Hornet, have the Hornet in your bag, because the Thorn does not have a lot of topspin. It will not give you the amount of topspin that you need to make that shot. But I would say probably 99% of the time you will be using your backbone here, unless you're playing in rookie with a high level driver that is letting you get a little bit farther down the fairway than most people will get. So backbone is going to be what you use primarily, and about 2 bars of topspin. You do want to make sure that you do aim the ball guide through the hole enough, because it is kind of a severe uphill slope to the hole, and if you don't give that ball enough juice, it will stop short of the hole or miss the hole, and you don't want to do that. You want to give yourself the best chance of getting that Albatross on this hole, because this is a hole that a lot of top people that win medals will Albatross at least probably 1 out of 2 times, I would guess. All right. So let's see here. Next hole we have is hole number 4, and this is a par 3. This is a fairly simple hole to play. I would go at it with the backbone and a navigator, and you're probably just going to play your shot right off this this area of the actual fairway. It's actually fairway, and I would play that shot with a plus 10% adjustment for the elevation going over the water. and somewhere about 2 to 3 bars of backspin for that shot. And pretty much it's a simple hole. All you're going to do is you're going to aim your shot at the hole. With 2 to 3 bars of backspin, you're going to aim it probably, you know, 1 or 1.5 squares in front of the hole, and then you're going to adjust for your wind. Now, if you get some sort of a side wind on this hole, then you are going to want to adjust a little bit extra to account for that push from the wind. And we'll have to wait and see what kind of actual wind we get before we kind of make that decision. Will we have an extended ball guide with a tailwind, or will we have a compressed ball guide with some sort of a headwind? So that also will go into deciding how we play this hole as far as offsets and that goes as well. If you are playing a little bit higher level rookie and you do have clubs with a little more backspin, you can possibly also go to the green with a little bit more backspin as well. But I would say primarily most people are going to be playing this shot off the fairway, like where I have that circle, and their bounce will be a fairly high bounce towards the hole. It'll hit and then hopefully roll in for the ace. But you're probably not going to see a whole lot of aces on this hole. Probably a lot of very close birdies, if I had to guess. All right, next hole. We got hole number 5 is next. Oopsie. Hole 5. And hole 5 is par 5, I believe. Yep, par 5. You are going to play a plus 10% adjustment for your elevation on this tee shot. I would definitely say go with the extra mile. And for your secondary club, you do want to have the big dog. I would definitely also say take your Titan ball on this hole. Now, depending on what kind of wind we get will also depend on the way we play this tee shot. If we get some kind of a tailwind, we're going to be trying to play our landing zone somewhere in here. If we get some sort of a side wind, then our landing zone will be a little bit farther back, maybe right in here. The end result for no matter where we're at needs to be up in this top left-hand corner of the fairway. So I don't care what kind of wind you get, you want that end result to be up there as well. And, the way we're going to play this is if we have a tailwind, we only want to use about 3 bars of topspin, and we want to use full left spin. And we want to aim it to this more right area here, over here, to make that shot. If we have a side wind, then we're going to land it right here to the left area. And we're going to use more topspin, probably at least 4 bars of topspin. And we're going to want to use a little bit of a right spin because we do want to make sure that we stay away from the edge of these trees and this rough. If you remember last time, those trees weren't there. So it gave us really the opportunity to miss left and still be okay for the most part. A lot of people would hit left and still roll out of that rough onto the fairway. This time, if you miss left, your ball is going to bounce and probably hit those trees and die right there. So you do want to make sure that you stay away from those trees, especially if you have some sort of a right to left wind. That's when that right spin off the tee box is going to come in handy because you do want that ball to hit the fairway and then kind of push to the right on the landing. So as far as our second shot goes, there's different options. If you have a really bad drive, your best thing to do is try to lay up your shot somewhere in this zone right here with whatever club you have. And then from there, you have a very makeable wedge to the hole. And that's if the drive doesn't go well and you're really just having to kind of, scramble. Hopefully, though, you've hit a good drive and you have the option with your big dog. This is where the Titan ball comes in handy. It gives you that extra distance for this second shot. Then you have the option to go with a shot where you actually hit here and bounce over the rough right there on the edge of the green. And with about 1 or 2 bars of backspin, you can stop that ball on the green for a really easy putt for the eagle, possibly an albatross. The other option is to take a shot where you go a little bit farther up the left-hand side and you would bounce here. Now, in this option, you're going to bounce and you actually want to hit the rough on your second bounce. And then you're going to use topspin, about 3 to 4 bars of topspin and a little bit of right spin to roll out of that rough and then onto the green towards the hole. Personally, I feel like the shot with a little bit of backspin going over the bunker is the better chance for the albatross. But this is one of those situations where it kind of goes to what you feel most comfortable with playing. You know, do you feel more comfortable with that shot, or do you feel more comfortable with the top spin shot out of the rough? In my opinion, this is not a shot that you want to overpower. So whatever method gives you the best ability to not have to overpower your second shot is the one that I would go with for you personally. So, all right, let me check my notes over here real quick, make sure there wasn't anything else I wanted to say on this hole. Okay, no, we went over the layup shot. And actually, the way I played this hole on my my hole tutorial was actually a layup shot with the Guardian, and then you saw how easy of a chip I had to the hole with my wedge. All right, so that's hole 5, and now we're going to move on to hole number 6 here. And this is it's a hole that we've seen a lot here. It seems like we've seen this a lot recently. We had this like 3 times in the last like 6 tournaments or something like that. It feels, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it just feels like we've had it quite a bit. This is a par 4, and we're going to play a plus 5% off the tee box, so really not a whole lot in rookie. Plus 5% is not much, but once you start getting into higher divisions, that plus 5% does actually add up to be a, you know, quite an actual difference in your adjustment. What I would do is off the tee box, I would aim your shot to somewhere in this zone right here with probably 2 to 3 bars of topspin and 2 to 3 bars of right spin. And you just want to roll your ball up this fairway somewhere to this zone right here. You do want to be careful with the amount of topspin you use because you don't want to roll through the fairway into this rough, which is definitely possible. And the amount of topspin you use may depend on what kind of a wind we have. If we have a tailwind, you're going to use 2 to 3 bars of topspin. If we have more of a headwind or a side wind, then you may use a little bit more topspin, but not much. But you definitely do want to make use of that side spin to kind of keep your ball away from this rough and that bunker edge. So yeah, definitely, you know, be careful on that. If you have a right to left wind off the tee box, you may want to use a little bit of right curl to help straighten that shot out as well. So for your second shot, we're actually going to play a minus 10% for our second shot. So we'll actually be subtracting, you know, distance, or we'll actually be subtracting off of our wind for our adjustment. The Viper is the suggested club. If you have the Sniper and the Rookie, the Sniper would be a good club to use as well. You're going to take your shot over the water. You're land it in this little area of the fairway, and then your second bounce, you want it to roll just off the fringe, and hopefully get that good roll to the hole. And for that shot, you're looking at about 3 to 4 bars of backspin, or whatever amount of backspin you have with your lower level club that you have, and somewhere about 3 to 4 bars of left spin. So you want to, like, if you have a Viper or low level Viper, all you're going to see is that trail of the ball guide going just over the fringe of the green. So what you want to do is you want to turn your screen, and you want to kind of line up the direction of that little line towards the hole as best as possible, and hopefully you can get you a good roll and give you your best chance at the eagle for this hole. And in my opinion, that's really the only way to play this hole. You will see some people try to play this hole off to the left side, where they bounce here and then roll over to this zone right here. But in my opinion, you know, that's not a great angle at the hole. I feel like playing it to the right side is going to give you the best angle to the hole and give you the best chance for the eagle. All right, so next hole we have is hole number 7. This is a par 5. And this is definitely an eagle hole. This is not going to be an albatross hole, despite what I may have said in the information video. I don't know what I was thinking that day. But this is definitely an eagle hole. So off the tee box, we're going to play a plus 10%. I recommend to go with a driver that gives you the best chance and the best accuracy to get your ball up here, right up here, nuzzled up into that top left-hand corner of the first fairway. You do want to make sure that you don't use too much topspin to go into that rough, because that would be devastational if you were to go into that rough. So whatever driver you have that can get you up into that little area the best, I would recommend the best accuracy and the best ball guide when deciding what driver you use for that shot. And then for your second shot, you want a big dog. I would definitely recommend going with a Titan ball for this hole, not for the drive, but for the second shot. So with the big dog, you're aiming your shot for right in here. Okay. Top spin and left spin, you want to try to roll your shot over to this zone right here. And then from there, you will have your third shot to the green. And you will most likely have either a thorn shot or a hornet if you have a hornet, or if your second shot isn't as far up that fairway, it may possibly be a backbone shot. And you can see me play this shot as well on my hole tutorial videos that I have already released. And I believe I played it with the backbone because I had the Viper in for my wood, so I wasn't quite able to get as far up the fairway as I would have been able to get with the big dog. Now, if for some reason you don't hit a very good drive, maybe you just misjudge your drive and you end up kind of short, your option, if you don't feel like you have the distance to go straight, would be to play kind of a rough bump over here and try to roll your ball up into the fairway over this way. I personally would be kind of scared to play that shot, with just the possibility of not getting out of that rough on the rough bump or going too far through that fairway into the rough. But if you can play that shot, then you will have a shot with your wood, which would be to the green. You'd have to use full right spin and backspin to kind of back that shot up onto the green and give yourself a putt for the birdie. Now, I really like the straight away method, which is why I would recommend going with the big dog shot up the middle. So the position of your drive is very important. That is probably the most important shot on this hole, because without a good position for your drive, that won't put you in position to make a good second shot, to position for a thorn or a hornet to the hole for an eagle. I would recommend playing that third shot off the fairway before the green, and then going with like two or so bars of backspin and just kind of aiming that ball guide 1 or 2 squares in front of the hole and go and try to get the drop that way. That, in my opinion, is the best way to go at that hole. All right. Next hole, we got hole number 8, par 3. We're going to play plus 10% off the tee pad. As far as your wood goes, I would recommend going with a Viper or a Guardian. If you have a Guardian, that would definitely be an okay play. And I would go with a Navigator ball. We're not really worried about side spin. We're just worried about backspin and cutting down the wind. It seems like they may have flattened out a little bit this hill in front of the green and made it a little bit more playable, and giving you a little bit more of a consistent bounce. So now we're just going to go straight at this hole, and hopefully we can get the drop. You want to play at least 3 to 5 bars of backspin on this shot to give yourself the best possibility of dropping this shot for the ace. I still think this is probably a birdie hole for most, but I think maybe the chances of that ace have maybe increased a little bit on this hole due to the changes of the front part of the green. If you do have a side wind, you may also want to consider playing a little bit of an offset for your shot, in addition to your wind adjustment for the shot already. So basically what you're doing is you're looking to land your shot in this zone right here and go pretty much straight at the hole. And hopefully you get the ace. I mean, that would be awesome. But I would not be upset if you're not getting the ace. And, take the first shot, practice it a little bit. Monday comes along, qualification. Take the shot, and if you feel like you need to make some adjustments, never be afraid to try to make some adjustments during your tournament rounds. It's just by the weekend round is really when you want to have that plan set in place on how you want to play these holes. So good luck to y'all. Hopefully y'all can figure this one out. It'd be awesome to see some aces out of it. I think it is a little bit easier to get the ace now than it used to be, but only time will tell. All right, last hole. We got hole number 9 here, and we end on a par 4. And this is a tough par 4. This is a par 4 that you're not going to see a lot of eagles on, unfortunately, and kind of a bummer way to end the course, in my opinion. I really wish that they had ended on a hole that gave you a really good chance to get a big score. You know, it's always cool to see people pull out shots on the last hole to win tournaments, and I'm not saying that you can't on this hole, but it's definitely a very difficult hole to get the eagle on. I would say go with your extra mile or your quarterback. You're going to be aiming up the right-hand side of this fairway, somewhere in this zone right here. You do want to play this shot with a plus 10% adjustment off the tee box, and I like to go with the Titan ball. A katana ball would work good as well here. And as far as your secondary club in rookie, you probably want to go with the big dog. Now, depending on what kind of a wind we have, if we get some sort of a straight tailwind, you can try to cut this corner a little bit more. So with top spin and right spin, you would be trying to cut this corner, land it over here, and then kind of roll this shot out here. If you want to play it safe, you just play it, to try to play it to this zone right here, and don't get as aggressive. But if you can get your shot farther up and to the right on the fairway, then that does open up the possibility for you to use, maybe a lower level Guardian, or even, maybe like a Goliath, if you can get far enough into long iron range. And anytime you can get to a club with more backspin on this hole, it's definitely going to be to your advantage. The back of this green, the slopes back down to the hole. So if you do get that chance, you do want to play a club with as much backspin as possible, and use the back of that slope to try to funnel that ball back down to the green. The slope right here in the front of the green does run away from the green, so do be careful on shots to that spot right there. If you misjudge a spot right there, you can very easily find yourself in the bunker or in the rough. So this is definitely a difficult hole to play. If you do find yourself kind of short and not in range to get to the green, you can play a shot up this right-hand edge. You want to use full left spin and some top spin, because you will use this slope to bring your ball back around towards the hole. So that is definitely a possibility. If you maybe hit the rough or something like that and you end up short, you can play a shot like that. So keep that in mind as well, kind of just like a backup plan in case you mess up your drive. Because if you do kind of play that shot along the edge of that right rough, sometimes you may miss a great right or something like that, or maybe miscalculate your wind adjustment, and you can sometimes clip that rough. Now, most of the time, luckily, the slope is such where that ball is going to roll out of that rough onto the fairway, so you'll still have a chance with your wood. But yeah, it definitely does get a lot tougher when when you're short on the drive right there. All right, so I don't really have a whole lot more to say. On this hole, some people will attempt more of a power curl shot off the first tee, where they bring their ball in like here and then bounce over, trying to achieve this zone right here. But it's not really necessary in the rookie. But it definitely does get more useful to play a shot like that once you get up into like the pro or the expert. But in the rookie, I think just going at this one straight forward and then using your big dog is probably your best and safest way to play this hole. All right, y'all. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. Hopefully y'all learned a thing or two about this course. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have some suggestions for it, definitely don't be afraid to leave those suggestions in the comment section. I definitely, encourage constructive criticism. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. If you're not a member of the channel, definitely encourage you to subscribe to the channel and set your notifications so that you can receive notifications when I do release new videos or even go live for tournament rounds. Also, if you're on Facebook and you haven't ever heard of the 19th hole, it is my Facebook community that I created, and I definitely encourage you to come and hang out with us there. We've got about 3,300 members now, continually growing, and it is a place that I created for people to be able to hang out, ask questions, and get a lot of information and help themselves grow as a Golf Clash player. So if you play Pro and Expert, I will be doing a Pro Expert combined guide as well, similar to this one. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. It will probably be out on Saturday. Monday and Tuesday, I will be doing Rookie, Pro, and hopefully an Expert playthrough video of the actual rounds. And then I will be doing live streams throughout the week as well. Definitely keep your eye on the announcement section of the 19th hole for a schedule on those. So, all right, y'all. Thank you all very much. Y'all have a good day. Peace out. God bless.